Good morning. So I'm going live just for fun because it's been a while since I've been on Instagram. I've been doing some creativity behind the scenes and I have been doing some writing for a book. And you know what? It's been really, really good. So it's this time of year now. Here we have the sun's moving to a different location in the sky, and I have my little space heater on behind me because I'm always cold. And I'm in my office, and I was having this amazing conversation with a friend of mine. And this is an ongoing conversation because it matters. So, with all the contrasts in the world, all the things that are going right, not right, according to us, we may realize that we are walking around this earth with a rock in our shoe, and it's really become annoying. That rock is usually a thought. It starts with a thought, turns into an emotion. It's the emotion we walk around with that's really annoying, because if it's on the negative sliding scale, it's like slightly annoying all the way down to grief, loss, and despair. We got hate, resentment, guilt, shame, fear, all that's in the middle, right? Insecurity, overwhelm, all those negative emotions we were meant to experience. If we're walking around with any of that in our body, weighing on our heart, socking us in the gut, there's a high likelihood that we did that to ourselves. I call her Controlzilla. Controlzilla wants to control, manipulate, and meddle everywhere. But that's just the fear brain. It's not the God brain. The God brain's very clear, concise, easy to understand. But when we get all convoluted up here in the fear brain, we point our finger around the room. That's the person that we're upset with. That's the reason that we feel the way we do. That's the person, or that's the entity, or that's the organization, or that's the political party, or that's whatever it is we're pointing at. We've developed a thought. Now I want to introduce a concept here. If the thought we're having creates a negative or worse emotion in us, it's lacking truth. And we know that because when you have had a thought that creates just an elevated, euphoric, dynamite kind of feeling inside of you, it has truth attached to it. It's impossible to feel God if we don't feel good. We can be sad and still feel God, but there is an energy that we're doing that changes whether we feel God or not. But the energy that our thoughts create, if it's coming from fear, usually has that negative emotion in it. And if you're feeling negative emotion, who did that? You did. And that's called taking responsibility for your life. The thoughts you think, if they're holding truth, make us feel good. The thoughts we think, holding a lack of truth, to a small degree or a very big degree, creates a negative emotion. And it's the emotion that we notice first. So when you're walking through life and you're trying to process something that felt good, something that didn't feel good, and we're trying to vet it out, we will feel powerless for the rest of our lives if it was someone else's fault. If we don't take personal responsibility for what we thought about and whether or not it was something we made up to justify our fear, or something that held a lot of truth and it was clear and concise. This is the concept. This is the work. This is the inner work that is not for everybody. But if you're a pattern breaker, if you're somebody that's like, you know what, I want to break the patterns of thought that cause me fear, cause me to shrink, cause me to feel small, cause me to feel marginalized, that causes me to feel like I'm less than what I know I was meant to be, the work is for you. It doesn't happen overnight. It took us a while to get into this state of realizing that we're really tired of having this emotional rock in our shoe. Let me give you an example. Okay, so I came from a family where my parents did the best they could, but they were emotionally immature. Love was withheld. And I grew up believing I had to earn love. I had to try really, really hard. First of all, the whole idea of I have to earn love, I have to be good enough to be loved, That's heavy in the heart. That doesn't feel good. It's lacking truth because it's not true. The truth is, I am loved. God loves me. I've always been loved. I am love. I give and receive love easily. All of those kinds of thoughts, it's like, oh yeah, truth, elevated, easy to understand. I don't have to justify it. It just is. But when I was processing all of that, I was learning to be free of the rock in my shoe. I would say, I don't belong. Ouch. And I would have a physical pain in my heart. And then I was like, oh, wait, did I just do that? Wait, let me see if I can try it again. And then I would say, nobody loves me. Ouch. Another physical sharp pain right in my heart. I was like, oh my gosh, I just did that. My thoughts were causing me to feel a certain way and keep that rock in my shoe. But I was like, let's see if I can reverse that. Let's see if I can do the opposite of that. And I said to myself, I've always been loved. What? No pain? No pain in my heart? So the quality of my thoughts matter. And then I started vetting out all the other things that made me feel negative, unwanted, disconnected, unbelonged, rejected, abandoned, like all the ugly stuff. And I was like, oh, my thoughts. The quality of my thoughts is not good, are not good. And all your thoughts strung together create your beliefs. So if your beliefs about who you are make you feel small, you gotta go back. Check the old brain, Controlzilla. Is she spreading shame, burning down buildings? Or is she taking a nap so your God brain can take over? The part of you that has those elevated, high ideal, lofty thoughts that make you feel like you're connected, wanted, belonging, that you don't have to try. You don't have to earn love. You don't have to earn your value. You don't have to be important in any particular way other than the contribution that you're here to make. And how awesome that is for you to have that power in your own mind and heart. Oh my gosh, nothing is going to empower you more than realizing you've had control all along. It's only when we are like, that person said something to me and that person intimated something about my character, and I'm going to take exception and be upset about it, that you gave your power away. That's you giving your power away, because they don't have the power to take your self-worth away, your self-love, your self-acceptance. That's your job. You have that job to make sure that stays intact and to not allow those little pebbles and rocks to collect in your shoe. You get to keep the struggle you want, and you also get to release the struggle you don't want. And at some point in our lives, when we're just sick and tired of being sick and tired of those rocks in our shoes, we will decide to take our shoe off and empty them. And that's when you can say, you know what? All I had to do was reach down and take my shoe off and dump the rocks out. It was my job. It wasn't somebody else. It wasn't somebody else's job to know that I put rocks in my shoes and they're annoying to me. It's not their job to say, gosh, your shoe must be very uncomfortable. Here, let me take it off for you. It's our job. And so this whole metaphor about taking personal responsibility for the thoughts we think and how it affects our lives is like, there's no greater work, because that affects the energy of you. It affects your ability to live an elevated life or to suffer longer. We're doing that. We get to choose how that's going to go. So here's my message. I have hope for you. I have hope that you'll take a look at the thoughts you're thinking and how they make you feel, and that you will vet out those thoughts. The quality of your thoughts. If it's true, it elevates you. If it's lacking truth, it causes you to shrink, to play small, to feel marginalized, to be a victim longer. But your thoughts are the ones doing that, because we're all looking out of these eyes from a very different perspective. How we were raised, our conditioning, what we think now about our conditioning, whether it was good or bad. We are going to figure out if it has truth or not, because we can tell how it makes us feel. If we're like, I didn't like the way I was raised, which was my entire childhood, I got to keep the struggle and the negative emotion that it produced until I decided I was done with it. So if I was saying my mother didn't love me, which I believed for years and years and years and years and years and years, a rock in my shoe. And then I realized that the quality of my thoughts were very low because it lacked so much truth. My mother did love me. She didn't love herself. And so I received that energy. But when I owned my thoughts, when I owned the truth is God loved me. He's always loved me. I love me. That's the truth. All the pain went away. The suffering went away. Who did that? Did somebody else come in and save me? No. Nobody else came in and saved me. I did that work with God, because God and I have got this. You and God have got this. He wants you to be happy. And sometimes we're like, I think I'm going to suffer just a little bit longer. I'm not done with this rock in my shoe. I'm not done walking like a martyr and being uncomfortable and crying that there's a rock in my shoe, instead of just taking your shoe off and dumping the rock out. This is a concept that takes forever to, not forever. That's an overstatement. There's a lack of truth there. This is a concept that takes longer than a week, longer than a month. And I have found probably nothing less than a year, because it took us a very long time to form a pattern of thoughts that had negative, or lack of truth, negative emotions attached to them. And all of those thoughts, if they're low quality thoughts, form low quality beliefs. But if you want to change your beliefs, you got to change the quality of your thoughts. You've got to add more truth in. And when I say truth, I'm talking about the love and light of God. Personal discernment, personal power, has a lot of truth in there. Judgment, there's fear. Discernment, there's truth. They're different. So when you are using love, light, infinite intelligence as part of the quality of your thoughts, always feels good. Just, you're never going to feel bad about that. And we don't have to qualify them. We don't have to justify them. I feel good because, you never hearing people say, I feel good because. But you will hear people say, I feel bad because. Blame, 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 blame. So that's another clue that the quality of your thoughts are either on the truth side or they're on the lack of truth side, because of the qualifications that you're using and justifying why you want to feel negative longer. It's like saying, it's my shoe's fault that is holding the rock in the first place, and I'm just mad at my shoe. Like, when we talk about it in that way, it doesn't make sense. It's silly. But we do this every day, all day. We're sifting and sorting between good and not as good, better and best. We're sifting and sorting, and sometimes it's between not so good and really bad. Sometimes. But the only way to take your personal power back is to start accepting responsibility for the thoughts you think about and the perspective that you've taken on to either justify the falsehoods of your thoughts, because sometimes we try and make ourselves feel better by hanging on to the negative thoughts longer. It doesn't make us feel better. It's kind of a funny concept that we're like, well, that person said something 40 years ago, and now I'm really going to be still upset about that and justify it. And I feel good in my justification of why I feel bad. Think about that one for just a half a second. We're a lot of work. There's a lot to sift and sort through. And it's so much easier to see somebody else than it is to see ourselves. So sometimes it takes eyes on you. We can help you find the quality of thoughts that are going to take your life in that upward, happy trajectory, so that you can feel elevated Your thoughts can be lofty. Your intuition is on the rise. Your happiness and your peace and your ease with life just are at a really all-time high. That's the goal of taking personal responsibility for the thoughts you think about and the way you feel, because nobody is in charge of what goes on in your head. You are. You are. And that gives you all the power back. That gives you all of the freedom to pick and choose what's best for you in your life. And you'll never be sorry for that. So that's my message today. Thanks for listening.